Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is William, and today session is 10 tips for more efficient development using Arc, which will be presented by Tim Ryan. Before I hand over to Tim, please be sure to ask any questions in the chat. That's the chat on the Horizon platform, and provide your feedback after the session. Over to you, Tim.
Thanks for that, Will. Yep, as Will said, I'm Tim Ryan. I'm in sunny Sydney at the moment, and I'm going to talk about the 10 tips for Arc. I'm going to try and get through them in the 25 minutes. We'll see how we go. Not a lot of time. Like Will said, if you can, please ask any questions, and he'll interrupt me, hopefully, as I run through. But also try and leave 5 minutes at the end to also go through any questions that people might have. All right, so first one I'm going to talk about, as you might have already noticed from Ben's presentation, is that the first tip I'm going to talk about with Arc is you can now use it from Excel. So as been talked about, we've got Slice. So let me just open that up. You can now access all the same features that you have in Arc in the web client and the desktop client, also now from Excel. So it is embedded. Now, the easiest way to get up and running is to actually have it running on a server, having Arc running on a server, and then you can connect Slice to that remote server. Let me just log in. I'm just going to be quick on this one. So this looks very familiar for people who are using Slice. Just move that thing out of the way. So you can see, let me just open up a cube view, and we can now slice that out, do it into a new workbook. And you can see now we've got that sliced out. We've got all our familiar DBRWs. You would have maybe heard about also there's some DBH formulas as well. So if you do have hierarchies, you can use them in your slices and in your active forms. There's integration with the sub and Ms. So if I change my region here, and same shortcuts, Shift F9, or we can just refresh the sheet here, and you can see that we've updated the values. I'll change something else just so you can see that happen again. Right back and all those sort of things that you're familiar with are in there as well. I'll quickly show an active form, just because I'm excited about the colors in particular. Oh, hang on, they look exactly the same. Yes, they do exactly the same. We thought we'd dedicate it to perspectives. You can see that the colors here are the same features that you've got in the slice. Let's go and change here. And again, Alt F9 for your rebuild, or we can rebuild it through here. All the usual features, drilling down. We do have the ability to drill on columns as well. There's lots of other cool little features that we're adding, like virtual consolidations, which allow you to add two elements together within your sub and M formula. So you can actually combine two values or a list of things. So if you want to do custom, some custom reports, that consolidation might not exist in Excel. You can also do that in using Slice without having to be an admin and create consolidations on that particular dimension. So that's my quick little intro for Slice. There's a hands-on session. There's also Guido's doing some other sessions later on Slice. So yeah, everyone go and have a look. You can even have a try it out on one of the test servers we've got. But yeah, that'd be great if you have a look at that as well. All right, let me just kill off Excel. Now, one of the cool features which I'm not sure a lot of people are using, I know some of our CubeWisers are talking about it quite a bit and enjoyed, and that is the use of templates. So let me just close this. So what templates are, is they are a way for you to create either for when you're creating a new object, a new cube, or a new process in particular, you can create a template for what it's going to look like. So if I have a look at this one here, I'll show you actually before I do that. Let's jump back into Arc and just log in. So when I go to create a new cube in this case, you can see that there is two options here, cube wise and minimum. And so if I jump back to my folder that I just was showing a second ago, we can see we've got in these folders, this is the folders that you create your templates in. So we've got two different ones here. Minimum, let's just have a quick little look at it, which is just very simple, like this. Just all it has is skip check and feeders, a very simple one. And we also have one. So this is the actual content that's going to be created in here. So let's go and do that. So I'm going to select the cubewise one. I'm just going to chuck in some dimensions here. Let's just call it test. And if I create that, we can see now that it has this content here. So it has a rule header and a rule footer. You can put whatever you want in there. So you could put obviously your skip check and all those sort of things in there. And that can be built in if you have particular rules, notes, anything like that that you want to put in there, that so your developers use the same thing over and over. That's one way to do it. Now it also works in processes. So let me just close this one and do a process. Now in this case, when we do the create process, you can see that there is no drop down. So what you need to do is first put one in the folder. So if I jump back into here, we can see in the process one, we just have the default one. So if there's only the default, you don't get a drop down list. But what we can do is I can jump back. I've got a little test folder here for my presentation where I've created some here. And I've got two different ones here. So if I jump back to my templates folder and paste both of those in. And now if I jump back, we'll open this dialog again. And you can see now we have three options. So let's just go and do this. Let's call it Horizon 1. And I create my process. And this is the default one. So let's go and create a different one just to see how it looks. So I'm going to select the cubewise one. And we'll create this process. All right, so this one you can see is already quite different. So for example, there's no parameters here. You can put anything that you want within this template. So this one's already selected to have a dimension as a source, a subset. It has a variable setup. It has a prologue with a whole lot of text. This is the cubewise default one that has built-in logging that's part of the Applico framework. So you can see that it has some extra stuff in here. It has a whole lot of pre-built stuff that can be a starting point. So you can make this as complicated or as basic as you need. And you can see all the information here. So we can obviously just remove that stuff out of there. Now, if I wanted to create my own template, so let's go back to my original one here. And we don't want these old school begin statements in here. So let's just remove those out. So this is going, and let's say we do a OWC data source. Just leave it at that. All right, now what we can do is we go up here and save as a template. Oops, sorry, wrong one. Save as a template here. All right, so now I've saved that there. And if we jump back into my folder, we can see now that that has been created as a template. So you can see it's got nothing here for the prologue, nothing for the metadata, and it's got this OWC data source and select from star test. So it's very easy to create them, and then you can tweak them. This particular format of the file is called HJSON, but yeah, it's really a great feature, something that you can use for standardization across all your developers, and something that I highly recommend that people use. Now there's one little cool one that Guido from the code team has created. So I'm just going to show you that one. If you want to get fancy, oops, and create this one. And there we go. You can see you're in your prologue tab, metadata tab, data tab, and epilogue. There you go. So welcome to Horizon 2021. Now, another thing that's quite similar to these, I'm just going to close these off, is snippets. So I'm going to show you an example in a cube. Let's go into our test one, oops, test. I'm just going to delete all that out and save that. So if I go control and space to bring up our help here, now there's two snippets that have already been created in here. And the beauty about snippets compared to templates is that you can actually parameterize them. So can you see that your name is highlighted here? But if I start typing in here, that gets updated in both locations. And now I press the tab key, and let's put in today's date. 10, 19, and tab again. This demo of snippets. And I tab, and then I'm done. So that's a nice little way, and then you can use this for all the different snippets that you can create within. So if you need to update multiple variables, you can make it quite complicated. So let's actually go and have a look and see how that works. So I'm actually using this one here I just created here. So all it is, there's some special placeholders. So you can see that it's got your name here, and then it's got a date. So you start it with a $, and then you have these squiggly brackets, and the number here is important because that defines, you can see number 1 and number 1 also. So that's the order that's going to update. And then you just put the description that you want it to be displayed. In this case, is the second variable. And then the third one is actually here within these squiggly brackets. So this content here is just what's displayed, and then it'll jump through to each of the bits. That's another way that you can do a template type feature. We do have a whole lot of snippets already within Arc, and they're in this default file. So you can see like an if condition. So we've got 1 and 2, and these are the placeholders. So I highly recommend, if people haven't already, have a go at trying to create snippets. You just have to create a separate file in this HJSON format. You can Google that, HJSON, if you want to see what it looks like. But yeah, it's pretty simple. You just got to put the content in there, but certainly have a try. If you do have any errors in there, make sure you look in your log file for Arc, and you'll see any errors that are in there. All right, now the next thing I want to show is, I don't know how many people know all about the shortcut keys that you have in Arc. So we actually have in the About page. So if people didn't see that, over up in the top right side where we have the info icon is where we have our About page, and it has a list of all the shortcuts in here. And so I would recommend everyone going through and have a look, scroll through, find the ones that they find interesting. I am just going to go through a couple of ones that I quite like. So first of all, Alt arrow keys. So Alt left arrow key and Alt right arrow key just enables you to click between your tabs. So if you are, you know, someone who doesn't want to have to be on the mouse all the time, getting RSI, you can just flick through and it'll go straight to that position. So you can see I can type, I flick back over, and we're in the rules now, and then we're back into the cube viewer here. So that's left and right arrow keys. A real simple one, but one that's pretty handy to toggle through the bits and pieces. Another one is commenting particular lines. So that one is Control plus the /. Oops. So / like that. So if I go and go, I should have left that there. If I'm on that line and I do Control and /, you can toggle your comment. See that running like that? So just a quick and easy one. Don't have to grab the mouse. You don't have to jump up here and toggle on this button. It's the same as you're toggling on that button there. Now, my other one, which is cool, is batch updates. So you can do find and replace using Control F, Control H to actually do your find and replace, but you can also use some shortcut keys. So if I go into here and I'm going to select this particular variable, sdebug file, so I can either do Control Alt and then use arrow keys to select one of them at a time. You can see that it's highlighting each one here. Or if I do Control Alt K, it selects all of those of that string within the file. So now if I just type, we can just change it and it changes all of the occurrences in this particular tab. So in the prologue tab. So that's a real nice way to quickly update something. If I Control Z it, it takes it back to where it was. That's pretty cool. I'll just have a quick pause. Will, any questions there that you want to?
No questions at the moment, mate. All good.
Keep on plowing on. Just yell out if you need to.
Will do.
So remembering shortcuts over here on the keyboard shortcuts. Now, let me just open up a process. So this is a process that's used to load data into a cube. Now, pretty much every function that references a dimension or references a cube or another process, you can actually use Control click. So you can see, I don't know if people can see that, but that's now underlying the execute process. So if I hold down Control, hover over it, and then click on it, and it'll jump me through to that process. All right, so that's just jumped me. Just kill off a couple of these things. All right, so it's, the process was here. And now if I go into my data tab, we can see we've got a cell is updatable. So if I actually hover, do the Control click again, you can see that it's actually telling me what the name of this variable is. So S cube name, I can do Control click and just hover over it. It tells me what it is. So it works out by moving backwards and finding out the last time it was set. And then also on the cell put, we can see the same thing here. And also the clicking is available too. So this, in this case, because it's a cube, it'll take us through to the cube viewer for that particular item. Now, if we had a dimension as well, we could also click on the same. Kill this off. So if we had any of the functions, attributes, any of the dimension updates, element updates, all those sort of things, you can remember. So just hold down Control and then hover over one of these functions. And if you can click to it, it'll underline, and it'll also tell you the variable beside it. All right, now we've got a great security plugin also within Arc. So let me just.
Hey Tim,
yep.
Sorry, just real quick. There was a couple of questions here. So one of them might be for a little bit later, which is, hi Tim, how do I lock a version using Team1 Arc? And there's another question around, is there a shortcut to show syntax?
Show syntax. I'm not sure if locking. Oh, you mean locking a version of? I'm not sure. Ellen, maybe give me a bit more info on that one. I'll come back to it.
Ask.
Yep. All right. So we also have a security plugin. So if we jump back into here, and this pretty much just highlights all the information that you have about particular users, but you can also add people. One of the nice little features in here, which I like. So if I wanted to add Horizon, and I want to say copy another person's credentials, I can go in here. There's a person named Jim Smith in here. If I click on that, it'll grab their groups. So it's very simple to add a new person. So say if someone left their position and then you want to replace them, you just grab them like that, and then you can use that person and it'll put in all their groups within here, and then we can just save them. So that's super simple, but it just makes it much easier when you're having to, when a new person's joining in your environment. You can also, people have noticed, there's these little ghosts. Now this is, I know we've got quite a bit of feedback about people saying it's really cool, this feature. And what the ghost allows you to do, if I click on that ghost icon, you can see it's hovering, it says impersonate. So if I click on that, now I need to log in again, but what it's going to do this time is log in as Jim Smith, not as the administrator, not as myself, it's going to log in as this particular person. So let's do that. You can automatically see that a whole lot of this stuff has disappeared. There's no processes available. These, so the chores are hidden as well. So this person doesn't have full rights to see everything like an admin would. So you can see here, this all gets restricted based off their security. So this is a really handy feature if you're wanting to, say a particular user saying, I can't access something, I can't see these elements, I can't see a cube. You can actually go in and be exactly what the stuff they can see. So you can actually troubleshoot and use that. Now, one thing of warning, if you're doing updating of data or anything like that, while you're in impersonation mode, it gets logged as if that person has actually made the change. So it's something to be careful of, something to be aware of. So while you're logged in impersonation, you're truly logged in as that person. All right. So I guess use with care. So now to go back to myself, I need to log back out. And you can see now I've got everything back here. All right. So while I'm in here, I want to show you something about outputting variables. So one of the things we can debug in Arc, but another cool feature that I like is that you can also output. So one of the things everyone, I'm sure, anyone who's written a TI process is familiar with is outputting the content of variables, as an example, out to files, so then you can trace back and see what happened, dump it all out. So our control space again, and we have, you can see here, there's two items here. So text output inline variables. So if I click on that, what that's done is it's worked out that there's 4 variables that are being referenced in here. So the cube name, we've got the currency as well, which is being set there. And then these 2 system variables that are being set. So all I did was select that, and now it's already debugging out to text. You can also, if you choose to, debug it, output it, sorry, with the name of the variable also. So this expand is going to set it with the name of the variable prefixed with the prefix and the value after it as a suffix. So you can see those 2 things. Now, it's quite intelligent and smart how it works. So if I jump in here and add a parameter, let's call that P year, go 2000. Now, without even saving it, if I just control space again, you can see we've got text output parameters. So that'll now output the parameters. Or if I go control space and jump down here and go text output parameters and variables, it'll give me both of them. All right, so it's now got year and it's got the cube name and currency, etc. Now, if I'm to jump onto the data tab, because we're on a different tab here, it's going to give us a bit more information. It's going to give us a text output. We can say our data source variables. All right, so these are the variables that are in this particular tab. You can see it's already converting the number to a string, so it can be output. Or we can, if we scroll down, you can see there's more options. So we can say text output all variables. So that's going to do the cube name is the variables from the start here. And you can see that all of those variables are being output there. So that's a pretty cool way that you can dump those things out while you're running through your process. All right. Now I've got
I do have a couple questions for you, Tim.
Yep, sure. Go for it. What are the questions?
Sorry, I had to unmute then. So quick question was, is there a way to create or import new CAN groups from CA using Arc?
No, that's not possible, unfortunately.
Okay. There was a question from Anna, which was, hello, when we're trying to, when we start typing to search for a process after the control plus space prompt and then spell it wrong, is there any way not to delete all the way back to execute process and hit control space again? So in other words, if you make a typo, is there an easy way to fix that?
I mean, if you're typing here and you're putting a process name, if it's, it should take the context of where you're up to. If I escape that, no, it doesn't. Try that. Yeah, so if you control space and go back 1 character, it will go back to. So once I go forward here, it's doing So as long as you go back and then go forward, it should start building up that list. So if I jump back, it should do that dynamically, I would hope. Let us know if it doesn't.
No worries. And one last question, which is similar to the control hover feature that shows the last variable. Is there a shortcut that shows the required syntax for a command?
Well, all of the drop-down lists has the required syntax for it. So you mean, I'm assuming this is on particular function. So really it's the control space is the way to do that, to see the actual content here. There's no way, if you're actually in it already, I guess that's what you're probably asking, like if this was already open. No, there isn't a way to show what the variables are, the parameters, I should say, from that
No
actual
worries.
once it's in there. It's probably something we can add easy enough, I think, looking at the grabbing it from the things that are in the drop-down list. All right, there's a couple of little extra ones. So there's one on that I want to show on data sources. So this is just based off a text file on my computer. Now, what we can also do, if you're on a remote, your server's obviously not on your computer, you might want to upload a file. You might have to save it to a network drive or a local drive on the Team1 server, or even if it's a cloud computer. Now, there's an alternative to doing that by actually physically remote desktoping and copying it, or through a network drive. We can actually use a file upload feature in Arc. So what I'm going to do here, I've got that same file here, just in my temp directory here, you can see. If I open that, that'll now upload it into the data directory of Team1. So this is remotely, can happen so just you can use Arc, it'll upload that into the data directory of Team1. And now if I jump over into here, I can remove this. And if I, oops. I just have to reopen that up again. All right, so yeah, there we have it. So that's the file. So if I select that file and then preview it, it's actually showing us the file that's been uploaded into the Team1 server. So this isn't the one that's on my computer anymore. And we can just upload a file directly using this button here. So let me just show you where that actually lives. In my data directory, you can see this BLB file that was created. So let's just go and you can see that's the numbers in here. Now, if I go back to my original file that I had here, let's just make that a large number and save that. I'll jump back over to here and I'm going to upload it again. So we're going to overwrite the existing file and you can see the number straight away has changed there. So that's whatever I put in there, 1 million, 10 million has been in there. So that's been uploaded and overwritten. If I look back into my file, so this was the one on my hard drive. We now look at the one that's been modified. You can see that saying there, and this is the new one. So that's a nice way you can upload that if you don't have access to the server, and you can manage and delete those files, right? So this is just sitting in my data directory. So this is the data folder where all the files are, and it gets with the BLB extension. Now we're nearly out of time. So last one I just wanted to show is being able to pin particular files. So if I drag this down, so we can move things around. See this little lock? So I can lock that there. If I delete this out, just get rid of that. And then if I was to refresh the page, now my server logs are down the bottom. So if you have any tabs that you want to keep open all the time, you can just pin them there and do it that way. Or you can actually, there's another option in the About page. So what we're using is this layout restore mode. So locked only, so only locked tabs can come back. But if you really want to, you can change that to all. And the lock has now disappeared. And so if I just open that up, and I'll just clear this out. Now, if I refresh the page, all of my tabs that I had open at any given time, so let's open another one. Refresh the page, and now my tabs are all open here. Oops. Let me just refresh that again. All right, so you can see my tabs are all open. So that's another cool little feature. So there you go. I just got through with my time. Any other more questions, Will? Got about a minute?
Yes, there is. Yeah, definitely. So there's 2 questions that came through. So one of them was, What do you see as the main differences between ARC and the Poor Modeler tool?
Look, they get the same goal, right? Like at the end of the day, we're trying to put as many features in. All the people in the code team are all Team 1 developers, so we've all had a history of being consultants, and using Team 1 a lot. So we're just they're trying to get the same goal, right? We hope we'll have a lot of extra features and things that are really familiar with for people who developers in Team 1, and you'll be more productive using our one. Just because of all the stuff, obviously there's a cost involved with buying ARC, but yeah, we just think they're going to have the same goal of helping people develop stuff in Team 1, but yeah, we try and put as many features in there and make it as much value so people can have the best experience when they're developing their Team 1 models.
And I got two more questions, which are around the data upload function. Kate, you about that. So the first one was, when you were uploading data to the server, can you change the target directory for where it goes?
No, so it just goes into the root of the data directory, and it puts a BLB extension on there. So it's the name of the file. It's not like uploading a file to a directory. It's actually going through the REST API. So that's actually running through the REST API and being saved where it puts it. So at the moment, I don't think it's possible to the REST API. I might check, but at the moment we don't support that.
Okay, and the second one was, can you upload a file even if you do not have access to upload files to a server?
Yes, you can. As long as you have access to use that API, you can. So it's running through the REST API, so it's not related to your file permissions in that particular server. So you actually have to have permission to upload files using the REST API. That's where the permission is done, through Team 1, not through the server. Actual file system on the box where Team 1 resides.
Okay, I think that's all the questions that have come through, which is right on the dot, I believe. So that's fantastic. Thanks, everyone. So the next session in this line is Team 1. The next session you'll see me rather is Team 1 101, rules versus TIs. Tim, I'm not sure you've had any further sessions at all.
No, I don't. There's plenty of code ones. Go on and have a look at the slice and pulse ones. Yeah, just enjoy the day. Okay, fantastic. And Tim, if you want to sign us off. All right, this is Tim Ryan from Sydney. That was my presentation on 10 tips to help you develop faster with ARC. All righty. Thanks, everyone. Take care and have a great horizon.